Oh, real quick.
I'm a
About to head
little
to dinner
blinded. The
on
sun is
vacation and
doing a
still
whole.
checking on y'all. How y'all doing? I'll figure it. Anyway, I was thinking about something as always. For all the kids that love to say that their parents caused them trauma, I would really love to know what that trauma looks like. I would really love to know what that abuse that you all got in my comments looks like.
Once again, it's that time of the week where I feature an estranged parent. I don't know a lot about this person's story, like her personal story. All I know is that she speaks to the estranged parent community in a very particular way. And I've featured her before, but you wouldn't know that because I changed the name and I cover her face. Some things that she says are on the regular, so if you've ever seen her, you're going to know who it is. And I'm just asking that we not create more division and strife. We don't need to go at her. This is why I do it in this anonymous way. It isn't out of protection for these individuals, it's for education, and in the hopes that estranged parents out there who have the ability, the capacity, the drive to fix their relationships with their adult children genuinely, who are also looking for safety and community, will not continue to be drawn in by someone like this, who is, in my opinion, capitalizing on very vulnerable people. Not every estrangement is the same, and there are a lot of estrangements that can be temporary and can be healed. A lot of them. Not every estrangement is because the parent is actually a narcissist. There are a lot of estrangements because the parent is emotionally immature and creating strife in their adult children's adult life to the point where it becomes intolerable. Maybe they passed down trauma and didn't intentionally, not that I don't like intention, but I'll go with this for a moment, intentionally abuse their children. So certain types of parents, both immature, emotionally immature, and narcissistic, abuse their children, and they do it in a very patterned way. It's consistent, and they're never going to change because their empathy is broken at a minimum, because they're sadistic, because they're cruel, and in the adult life they're still not going to change. We can acknowledge I grew up underneath one of those. My mother's a sociopath and a narcissist. We can acknowledge 100,000%, bajillion% that exists. We can also, and it's important to acknowledge, that there are parents who are emotionally immature, who pass down trauma, who have not done the work to heal themselves, to be able to come into a relationship from a point of view where they can take accountability. Those parents can be helped. These types of creators are capitalizing on the vulnerability of those particular parents by using little, you had to walk on eggshells. Oh, they're playing the blame game. You were a good mother, using these certain types of words and descriptions to make them feel like they've found their community, when in fact it's one of those misery loves company and I'm going to capitalize in the process situations with a lot of these estranged parents. Not all of them. However, the ones that seem to pop up on my feed, because I don't follow them, seem to be, by and large, these types of parents. That being said, I did post Grandma Shelley, who is working in repair in her relationships and did take accountability and seems to have figured it out. Anywhoosie, let's get into this one.
Hey girl, real quick.
I'm a
About to head
little
to dinner
blinded. The
on
sun is
vacation and
doing a
still
whole.
checking on y'all. How y'all doing? I'll figure it. Anyway, I was thinking about something as always. For all the kids that love to say that their parents caused them trauma, I would really love to know what that trauma looks like. I would really love to know what that abuse that you all got in my comments looks like as well. Because if you were physically abused, mentally abused, mean you were belittled every day, cursed out every day, called out your name every single day. If you weren't sexually assaulted, if your parent didn't put you in danger, if your parent protected you, if your parent provided a roof over your head, if your parent made sure that you were good all these years, and they were a great parent that encouraged you, supported you, loved you through it all, but you're still saying they caused you trauma? It's weird. It's really, really weird. Read someone tagged me in a TikTok post, and this young lady, she was saying how she had an amazing childhood. Amazing, amazing parents. But for some reason, which she never disclosed, she decided to go no contact with her parents, and she was concerned about if her mom had taken her picture down off the wall. Why do you care? You decided to go no contact. Why do you care if your mother removed your picture? If she did, which I doubt she did, because you're the one that chose to go no contact, not her. But so that proves my point. You want to treat your parents like trash. You want to abandon them, but you want them to still hold on and chase you. So if you didn't have any problems and you had an amazing childhood going on, what's the problem? Why did you decide to go no contact? And then she said, that's because my mom is not willing to change. Change for what? Why should she have to change? So, just a note from the GED section. Make it make sense? Okay? Don't forget the grab. Don't forget, I have a podcast. Tune in on all your favorite streaming platforms. Okay? All right, back to vacation. Bye.
Okay, that was a lot. I'm going to go ahead and play snippets, and we're going to take it piece by piece because I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. That being said, I wanted you to have the opportunity to hear the entire video, all the way through. So here we go. Let's take it into little pieces here. I'm using my phone. You don't have to look at her anymore. Well, you're not seeing her anyway. We'll just go piece by piece. Okay? So let's do it.
Parents cause them trauma. I would really love to know what their trauma looks like. But I would really love to know what that abuse that you are from my comments looks like. His love. Because if you weren't physically abused, mentally abused, meaning you were belittled every day, cursed out every day, called over your name every single day.
So I'm supposed to give this person receipts. Isn't that interesting? Tell me how you were abused. Tell me what the trauma looked like. I want receipts. And if they don't look like this, it's not trauma. That's what she's really saying. How many of you have heard something similar from your parent when you were trying to have hard conversations about the things that they did that hurt you? And by the way, did you know if it doesn't happen every day, then it's not abuse? If you weren't called names every single day, you weren't emotionally abused. That's basically what she's saying. Emotional abuse is also not just calling names. My mother saved words like tramp and damaged goods and sick in the head for special occasions. The rest of the time, she had different ways of abusing me, emotionally violating me. And typically, it wasn't about calling me names. It was even about a silent treatment, about a disapproving look, about the smirk that would let me know something was about to happen, disappearing my belongings, my toys, my valued possessions, and then letting me look for them frantically while she stood by smirking. There's so many different things and ways that parents emotionally violate their children that has nothing to do with calling names. Like my mother used to take me binge eating with her. We would go in the car and eat this chocolate cake with our hands, and it would be the best moment ever. And then she would close the box and go, oh, gotta go on a diet now. Eventually, the words would come in like fat bum, fat ass, that sort of thing. Eventually we would get there, But that wasn't just the part of it that was damaging. Putting a little girl on a diet after you've just binged eaten with her is pretty damaging. Oh, stealing my babysitting money. She never called me a name when she did that. She would just go search my room after I had a babysitting job and take the money. Chopping off all my hair, whether I liked it or not, which I didn't ever. There are so many different ways to emotionally violate a child, and these are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. And this kind of person saying and asking and describing abuse in this way is the same person that would come back at me and go, well, your mother just wanted you to look your best. She's the same kind of person who would say, well, your mother was decluttering. When you know, you know. But we're supposed to prove to her that we were actually abused by her standard. If that isn't toxic, I don't know what is.
If your parent provided a roof over your head, if your parent made sure that you were good all these years, and they were a great parent that encouraged you, supported you, loved you through it all, but you're still saying they caused you trauma? It's weird. It's really weird.
Because two things can't be true at the same time. My mother made sure I had a roof over my head because she needed a roof over her head. My mother didn't feed me as an infant, but eventually she got stuck feeding me because there were other people around and situations that, I was along the ride for dinner. That could make her look like a good mother, I suppose, that she fed me and she clothed me. By the way, she dressed me very nicely because it made her look good while she was hiding the abuse behind closed doors. But because she did that, she was a good mother. And I also really am coming to the point, and I think it's because of these estranged parents creating this type of content, I'm starting to despise the description good mother. Somebody can do some good things. It doesn't mean that they were a good mother. And we shouldn't be going black and white, good mother, bad mother. We should be looking for just a healthy parent. And what does a healthy parent do? Well, when they mess up, they take accountability because they're human, just like all of us, right? When they maybe, I remember when my kids were growing up, sometimes I lost my mind. Literally just lost my mind. Slammed cabinets, stormed out of the room, stopped the car. I'm not going anywhere until you guys settle down. Lost my mind kind of. And I don't know any parent who hasn't lost their mind from time to time. I didn't call my kids names during that time, so I guess I wasn't emotionally abusive. I didn't scream at them. Thankfully, I was regulated enough to lose my mind in a way that wasn't dysregulating to my children. But certainly there were definitely times where my kids were like, oh, we made her mad now. I had the look. The look was my thing. And sometimes I said something to one of my children when they were looking for my opinion about something, or they said something to me that I didn't like, whatever it is, and I didn't meet them with the maturity that they deserved. One, because I wasn't perfect, and two, because I was emotionally immature for quite a bit of my children's lives. In some ways. And then my maturity would kick in. And I would be able to come back in and say, hey, I'm really sorry I said that. I should not have done that. And I owned my behavior. And worked not to repeat it. My point being, I wasn't always a good mom. I wasn't always a bad mom. And even though I was emotionally immature in many ways, I was a pretty healthy, loving mom. So can we erase this whole, if you were a good mom? And it isn't being a good mom to provide shelter and food and clothing. That's not being a good mom or any type of parent whatsoever. That's not what parenting is. That's a contract that's being fulfilled because you chose to bring children in the world. Being a parent who is loving and kind and healthy means that you're meeting your child's emotional needs and not making them responsible for yours, in my opinion. All right, let's carry on here. She just sets my hair on fire.
This young lady, she was saying how she had an amazing childhood. Amazing parents. But for some reason, which she never disclosed, she decided to go no contact with her parents, and she was concerned about if her mom had taken her picture down off the wall. Why do you care?
So she doesn't share the video. She doesn't share who the creator is. She doesn't give anybody an opportunity to actually witness what she's talking about. And this young woman, according to her young woman, in this video doesn't talk about what made her go no contact. Well, that doesn't mean she doesn't talk about it anywhere. It sounds to me like she just watched one video. Chime in, what do you think made her go no contact? I bet it was something that was going on in their adult relationship that was causing her harm. And we can go back to, by the way, two things can be true at the same time. You can have a good relationship with your parents growing up, and then things happen and the relationship has a breakdown. Doesn't even mean it's going to be forever. Chances are, if you had a good foundation and you found it necessary to back off from that relationship, that it's repairable, I hope. I always hope for repair where it's possible. You see how she just kind of grabs onto certain things that she wants to share? Because if she really wanted to know more about this girl's story before talking about it in such a flippant, irresponsible way, she would have done her homework. That's not what she's interested in doing, though. What she's interested in doing is a money grab with vulnerable estranged parents, helping them not to take accountability or look inside themselves in order for them to actually be able to be healthier people. Forget about even repairing their relationships with their adult children. If they have markers of, feeling blamed and feeling like they did the best they could and that should be good enough, and feeling like they don't have to answer to anyone, not just their adult children, they're going to struggle in life. But this individual doesn't care. She thinks she's very charismatic and has a whole thing going on. And without a doubt, she's making some money. I doubt she retains people because eventually the cracks show. But even the way she begins the video, how you doing? Oh, good. She's found a hook, right? We call it a hook. If you're a creator, you're supposed to have a hook. It's so disingenuous, in my opinion. And why does that adult child care whether or not she's been erased from her parents' life? And maybe the mom married somebody that's creating problems. We don't know. It could be any number of things that's made this adult child back off from that relationship. And why does she care about that? Probably because she still misses and loves her mother and wishes things could be different. My mother's a sociopath and a narcissist, and 17 years in, I drank the Kool-Aid again for a blip. Because in spite of everything she had done to me, I still wanted her love. But this person doesn't get it, can't understand it. Because she's decided that if you had a good mom and you stand your ground in any way, shape, or form, this is what it sounds like to me. You are a bad daughter. She deals more with mothers and daughters. That's why I say bad daughter, but bad child. bad that you are creating boundaries and have an expectation that your parent is going to respect you in some way. Respect is a one-way street here because I'm the mama. That's who this person is. All right, I'm going to carry on.
Removed your picture if she did, which I doubt she did because you're the one that chose to go no contact, not her. But so that proves my point. You want to treat your parents like trash. You want to abandon them, but you want them to still hold on and chase you. So if you didn't have any problems and you had an amazing childhood going on, what's the problem? Why did you decide to go no contact? And then she said, that's because my mom is not willing to change. Change for what? Why should she have to change? No, just enough for a GED session. Make it make sense, okay? Don't forget the grabber.
Make it make sense. You want to disrespect your parents. You want to abandon them. Make it make sense. Apparently, the girl did share why she was no contact. Because her mother will never change. Meaning that whatever is going on, her mother is not willing to see her and do anything to meet her needs. That's why they're no contact. I missed that when I was talking about earlier how, she said she doesn't say why she's no contact. No, she did say it. This creator just didn't want to listen. They didn't want to hear it. And of course, is one of those people, my child abandoned me. My daughter was no contact with me for a few years. She didn't abandon me. She walked away so that she could feel better and heal and do whatever it was she needed to do to be able to feel whole. We actually haven't ever, I'm just thinking about it now, talked about that period of time where we weren't talking. Because when she came back in and we ended up in a relationship together, we just kind of flowed back into it. And then eventually she told me why she walked away in terms of what I had done that hurt her. And I owned it. And I never looked at it like she abandoned me, because I never looked at it like it was about me. I looked at it like it was about, not like, I looked at it for what it was, which was I did things that eroded our relationship and she needed space. I have such disdain for these types of creators. It makes me so sad. Listen, if you're an estranged parent out there, look for estranged parents who have repaired their relationships. Not the ones who go, I've been to therapy and I went for 5 years and they still don't get it. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Therapy isn't about just going and sitting around chatting. It's about tangible change. It's about learning how to love ourselves and heal ourselves and validate ourselves. So actually we don't need it from, external sources. It's about us learning how to treat ourselves well so that when we show up for others, we're going to show up in a much healthier way. It also helps us to be able to be in healthier relationships and make better choices. It's not about sitting there for 5 years and just chit-chatting. And I know that there are situations where that happens, unfortunately. You're supposed to be building tools and skills. So if you see an estranged parent going, I went to therapy and I did it and nothing changed, well, that tells you everything you need to know about being in the wrong place. You have a right to live a happy life. You have a right to move on. You have a right to do whatever it is that you choose to do moving forward when your adult child walks away. And this is what these creators are capitalizing on, that right to do that. And they're appealing to that part of you that just wants the pain to stop. They're not helping you resolve what's going on so that when the pain stops, it's because there's been actual healing. If you're an estranged parent, you're welcome here. If you're an estranged adult child, you already know you're welcome here. I am an estranged adult child. It's been over 30 years. I will always be estranged from my mother. There is nothing there that will ever be okay for me. And that's where I am. I was an estranged parent, and we've been back in a relationship for about 20 years. And she actually looks to me for parenting advice. So I think it's safe to say that we have really healed that relationship. And I say we, because she had to be open to me and I had to be open to her. And I had to be in a space where I made sure that the spotlight was on how she felt and what she needed. Because I'm her mom and the tail shouldn't wag the dog.